The president and vice president both in town today to push for voting reform as Republicans here in our state propose further changes after passing a controversial law last year reducing the number of drop boxes and early voting hours. Joe Ripley is live at the Atlanta University Center, which connects Atlanta's HBCU campuses downtown. So Joe, the president and vice president speaking there just moments ago. Will you walk us through the legislation that they're really seeking to pass and why Atlanta, why they chose to be here to promote it?
A very significant spot to be here in Atlanta. The president just wrapping up his speech moments ago alongside Vice President Harris, addressing a few hundred people here outside Morehouse and Clark Atlanta University. The president remains adamant he wants to expand voting rights nationally. He says there are two measures currently in Congress to do so, and he says in a monumental announcement that he supports ending the filibuster to get those pieces of legislation through.
We come to Atlanta, the cradle of civil rights, to make clear what must come after that dreadful day when a dagger was literally held at the throat of American democracy.
President talking there about January 6th regarding some remarks he made last week. His visit to Atlanta comes as Congress weighs the Freedom to Vote Act and the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. Atlanta, longtime home of the late Congressman John Lewis, who fought for voting rights during his time in the House. The proposed legislation would supersede several states' election laws enacted after the 2020 election, including Georgia's election law passed last year. President Biden and Vice President Harris railed against Georgia's election law signed by Governor Kemp, calling it a partisan attempt to get the election results Republicans want.
The assault on our freedom to vote will be felt by every American in every community, in every political party. And if we stand idly by, our entire nation will pay the price for generations to come.
Today, the president and vice president also stopped by the King Center where they laid a wreath at the tomb of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Of course, his birthday coming up this weekend. The president also visiting the historic Ebenezer Baptist Church where King was once a pastor. There's so much significance as well with this trip here to Atlanta. You'll remember President Biden in that 2020 election, the first Democratic presidential candidate to carry the Peach State in nearly 30 years. Georgia's two senators also are Democrats as well. Coming up at 6, I'll tell you why some in Biden's party, some of the Democratic Party, as well as voting rights advocates, want him to do more when it comes to expanding voting rights nationally.
Yeah, a number of groups boycotting today's visit. Joe, thank you.